So, good morning, Dr. Shalab. Thank you for coming in for this talk. We'll just wait for some of the viewers to join in. And while people are joining in, I would just like to share with everybody that so I think there's an echo, so we have to see how we can reduce that.
Those are echo देखना. Good morning, Archana ji.
Good
Thank you
morning,
for
sir.
having me here on this platform.
Yes.
I'll get this echo with this guy.
Yeah, I think you can just while we are just trying to solve the eco problem, I would just like to introduce myself. I'm Archana Sharma. I'm the founder of Samvedna Senior Care. Many of you probably have been joining us for all our sessions live, and even who are coming to our center in Gurgaon. So this health talk today is really a part of our Samvedna Senior Care Foundation, and we have been continuously bringing you during the COVID times a lot of discussions and doctors' talks to help you maintain your physical as well as your mental health. Samvedna has been working with senior citizens since October of 2013. It's going to be our 7th year now very soon. And over the last so many years, we have really expanded our services. We are working for the emotional well-being, dementia care, mental health, as well as the physical health of elderly. And we have been, providing services, counseling services, and doctor consultations, and therapy interventions, as well as other companionship and logistic services for seniors who are living alone. So without wasting any further time, I think I'm seeing that there are people who are joining in. So good morning, Suresh Chandra Kumar. Good morning, Saryu Sharma. Thank you for joining in. I would like to introduce Dr. Shalab Agarwal now. He's a consultant urology and andrology at CK Birla Hospital. He has overall 18 years of experience. He's a MS. He's a surgeon, and for the last 11 years, sir, you have been specializing in urology. So, sir, thank you so much for coming in today and sparing the time to talk to our audience. So, I would like to now hand it over to you, and you let me know how I'll keep switching the slides, and we have a lot of questions which are already there with us, which have come in from our, to our email and WhatsApp messages. So I'll be taking that up as we go along, sir. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Archana. Thank you so much for having me here. And good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for saving your time for this presentation. I hope with this little information that I have here, I am able to help you and make some difference in the lives of those who are suffering, or bring a small change. So without wasting any further time, I think since we have a lot of questions also, I'll just go briefly through a presentation, and after that we will generate a discussion, right? Thank you so much. So Archana ji, can we switch on to the next slide?
Yeah.
Right. So I'll just start with what are the common urinary problems faced by people. So I've just separated them into the male and female group. So these are the common urinary problems faced by males. Right. Most often they have slow urine stream and find it difficult to start. In technical terms and medical terms, we call it as hesitancy. Right. They find it difficult to have a smooth stream, which is called as intermittency, and sometimes they have to strain to empty their bladder, especially during the end of the void. They find it difficult that they have not been able to empty their bladder completely, so they have to strain to void. So that is known as straining. Besides these, they often have to get up multiple times at night to pass urine, often 4 to 5 times, 7 to 8 times, like that. And this same kind of pattern sometimes starts in the day as well, wherein they find it difficult to have a normal frequency and have to go to pass urine multiple times during the day. So normal urine frequency, we take it as about 4 to 5 times in a day, and about one time in the night. More than that, we take it as abnormal, right? So again, the people might find it difficult to hold their urine, which is known as urgency, symptom of urgency. This might or might not be associated with something known as urge incontinence or urine leak, right? They will often wet their clothes before even they are able to reach the toilet. So these are the common urinary problems that are faced by our gentlemen during the elderly age group. Besides these, I have placed few warning symptoms, right, that I want to emphasize, which need to be taken care of and which need to be remembered in case somebody has severe burning or blood in urine. The urine is red in color or orange in color or brownish in color. That is considered as blood in urine. This might or might not be associated with clots in the urine. Associated with fever. If there is pain in the abdomen, either in the flanks or in the lower abdomen, if somebody finds that he is passing urine only in drops, there is no urine stream, right? And there the frequency of urine, which was higher earlier but has increased markedly now. Somebody has to go to pass urine about 15 to 20 times in a day, or someone finds that there is a continuous urine leak, right? And one finds it difficult to have proper intake of liquids and the food and feels dehydrated. So these are few warning symptoms that are not usual. On the left side of the slide, the symptoms which are there are the usual symptoms or which progress chronically or over a time. To the right, these are the warning signs which might be indicative of a complication which has already developed or is developing. So these warning symptoms need to be remembered and they have to be taken care of, and an immediate medical care might be required in case somebody develops these symptoms. So next slide, please.
Yeah.
So these are the common urinary problems faced by females. Although there is no dividing border between the male and female symptoms, but in females, the frequency of urination is something which is more commoner than the slowing of the stream. So often the elderly ladies, they find it that they have a lot of increased frequency, which might be during the day and night as well. And second very common symptom is again urgency. They find it difficult to hold their urine and often have leakage of urine in their clothes. In females, there is another kind of urine leak wherein the urine leaks while they have increased abdominal pressure. Abdominal pressure might be increased as in case of coughing, lifting heavy weight, sometimes just by getting up from the chair or jumping or walking fast. So all these things which increase the abdominal pressure, that might be associated with the urine leak. So this kind of urine leak might be partial, that they might be leak only a few drops of urine, or it might be complete, wherein their whole of the bladder gets emptied. So often this symptom we call as stress urine incontinence. This persists for a very long time, right? And the cause is the weakening of the pelvic muscles which support the bladder. So besides that, females might find it difficult, may have feeling of perineal discomfort or burning in the vulval region or the lower abdomen, right? And again, as I mentioned earlier, slowing of the urine stream and staining to white. So these are the few common symptoms which are there in females. Again, coming to the right side of the slide, wherein I have placed the warning symptoms. So these symptoms of severe burning in urine, blood in urine, fever, pain in the abdomen, markedly increased frequency, and again poor intake and dehydration. So these are the symptoms which should not be considered as usual symptom. And in case somebody develops these symptoms, then one must take care to have urgent medical attention for these symptoms. Next slide, please. Yes, coming to the common causes of urine problems. So earlier I listed the common symptoms. Now these are the common causes of urine problems. In males, most commonly in elderly, we have something known as BPH, or commonly called as enlarged prostate. So wherein the prostate gets enlarged and causes obstruction to the urine flow and might present with the symptoms that I have mentioned earlier. Another common differential of the urinary symptoms is a cancer of the prostate. Now again, this cancer of the prostate, it doesn't have any specific symptoms and needs to be differentiated from a simple enlarged prostate by a clinical judgment and few other tests. Somebody also might have bladder stone, especially those having blood in the urine. Another common thing is stricture urethra. So stricture urethra is the narrowing of the urine tube. Right. Besides that, in elderly, there might be tumor in the bladder, tumor in the kidney, or tumor in the prostate, which might again give rise to urine symptoms. And last but not the least, neurological problems. The people with stroke, people with paralysis, people with paraparesis, with spinal cord injuries, all these again may have different kind of urine symptoms. In females, the urine infections are something most common to give rise to urine symptoms, and often these urine infections, they persist, they recur over months together. Right? One might have episode, just gets okay with the medicine, and again a second episode. So recurrent UTIs are very common cause of urine symptoms. Second thing, we call it as overactive bladder. As I told you earlier, the symptoms of urgency, frequency, often the incontinence of urine, these all fall under something known as overactive bladder. Third thing, common or particular to females, is something known as urethral syndrome. So urethral syndrome arises as a result of hormonal changes that occur in a postmenopausal age group. Due to deficiency of estrogens, the vulval and the urethral mucosa, all of that gets atrophied and give rise to a bunch of symptoms, which we place as urethral syndrome. Right? There might be difficulty in passing urine, perineal discomfort, frequency of urine. All these symptoms come under something known as urethral syndrome. Another common problem that is particular in female age group is the prolapse of the gynecological organs, uterus, vagina, vulva, and again these might be further complicated with urinary symptoms. And last but not the least, as I mentioned earlier, also stress urine incontinence, that is the urine leak during increase in abdominal pressure. Right. So coming next. So why it is important to know about the urinary problems in the elderly age group? So this slide is one that shows what can be the outcomes if the problems are ignored. So one of the commonest thing that happens is the fall. Right, one might just rush to pass urine, and in those people who are on sleeping pills or have dementia, they need support to walk, or the people with arthritis who find it difficult to walk. So in this particular age group, in this particular disease group, again there is very high risk of fall with the urinary symptoms being ignored. Right. A second common complication of these urinary problems is the skin excoriations. Due to urine leak in and around the vulva or penis or the foreskin, whole of the skin gets excoriated. It gets melted, and there might be rashes which are developing, and further complicated bed sores and all. But this kind of problem particularly arises in those groups which are bedridden or who are using diapers, whereas there is soiling of the skin. A third common complication is recurrent urine infections. Right, urine problems, if left ignored for a long time, particularly in those who have a very poor body fighting system, those with diabetes, which are immunocompromised, which are taking steroids for lungs or for joint problems, those with the cancers on chemotherapies, all this is a very high risk for developing urine infections. Fourth is the kidney problems. Obviously, when the outlet or the urinary tract is not working properly, there is a pressure on the kidneys, and slowly as this pressure keeps on developing, the kidneys, they fail to do their normal job, and one might start having symptoms of renal failure. And again, two last but very important risk or the further complication of these problems are the social outcast. One, due to urine leak, that kind of smell which always comes from the clothes or the wetting of the clothes, or recurrent use of washroom, the people, they might find themselves as social outcasts. Right, this can happen in a small group as small as a family, or in their friend circle or their relatives. Right, they find it that they cannot travel because they have a lot of frequency, so they are unable to go to their relatives. They are not able to visit the malls or the markets because again of the urine frequency or the leak, they can't manage it. And at home, obviously, due to the urinary problems or the urine leak, they are often told by their families that you confine yourself to a room or a particular place. So this thing again has a very deep psychological impact, especially in the elderly who are living alone or in a small families. So that's why the urinary problems, they should not be ignored, right? And the proper care or the proper attention should be given to them in the due time. Next slide, please.
Okay, just a second.
Right. So, what are the common risk factors or the common things which can aggravate the urine problems or the diseases which can give rise to urine problems? So, herein I have listed few diseases, right? So, common ones are diabetes, hypertension, cancers, right? Diabetes, as we all know, it affects all the organs of our body. In a similar way, it affects your urinary system as well, the bladder, the outlet, the kidneys, right? Beside these, the people with hypertension, cancers, stroke, again, wherein there is a nerve problem, with psychiatric disorders, again, who have difficulty in controlling and releasing urine, those with dementia and Parkinsonism. So all these are risk factor for urinary diseases. Besides that, certain medicines, right, like diuretics in people who are hypertensive or who have swelling of the feet, they are often prescribed diuretics by the physician. So in case somebody has urine problems, one must check with their physician, are they taking any diuretics? Diuretics are the medicines which increase your urine volume. So as a result of increased urine volume, obviously there is increased urine flow and aggravation of urine problems. Right, patient on chemotherapies, again, they will have a lot of uric acid and waste coming in their urine. So again, those might aggravate urine problems. People on analgesics, on pain medicines, again, which are harmful to the kidneys. People with lung conditions like asthma and COPD. So unfortunately, there is a reverse relationship between the urinary tract and our lungs and our respiratory tract. So medicines which increase the respiratory flow or increase the oxygen flow in our lungs, they decrease the urine flow from the urine tract. So there has to be a balance between the medicines which are used for treating lung conditions and the one which are used for treating urine conditions. So one must always check with your physician the people with lung conditions, if they are taking medicines, whether these medicines are going to affect their urine flow or not. Right. Coming to smoking and alcohol, as we know, both of them are known to have bladder irritant. Right. And at the same time, alcohol again causes diuresis and increased volumes of water or fluid that go in with the alcohol, again, that aggravate the urine problems. Obesity again is a risk factor for increasing urine problems, particularly in females, elderly who are immobile. The stress urine incontinence or the urine incontinence. So both of these problems, they are found to improve markedly after reduction of the weight. So again, these are risk factors for urine problems, particularly in females. Chronic constipation and chronic cough. So rectum filled with feces that presses on the bladder and the outlet and causes obstruction to the urine flow. Similar way, the people who have chronic cough, again, they have incontinence due to unsupported bladder or due to weakening of their pelvic muscles. And last but not the least, the improper fluid intake. So both the excess fluid intake, again, that will result in increased bladder volume or increased urine volume, and will aggravate the symptoms of frequency and urgency in those people who already have it. And similar way, a concentrated urine caused due to decreased urine flow is again a bladder irritant. So one must have proper fluid intake to maintain a good urinary tract. Next slide, ma'am.
Yeah. So we have a lot of questions, but we will ask you after your presentation. So
yeah. So these are the simple steps that I have enlisted to reduce or to manage your urine problems, especially in the times like these when one is afraid to go to hospitals or the clinics or even do tests. So these are few measures that you can take at home, and these might help in maintaining or improving your urinary symptoms. So I'll go slow on these slides, right? So the first thing is diet and fluids, right? So again, a balanced diet is very important. A diet which is rich in vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and obviously carbs, proteins. So that is a very important part. That is to maintain whole of our body, not only the urinary tract, right? And second thing, as I emphasizing on the last slide also, one must maintain a uniform fluid intake. So if somebody is at home and doing a sedentary work, then recommended is that he has about a glass of water every hour. So that will be about 120 to 150 ml every hour, and this will add up to about 8 to 10 glasses in a day, which is sufficient to maintain a urinary tract. Obviously, if somebody is doing some active exercises, running, jogging, or some exercises at home, then they can increase their fluid intake accordingly, right? But otherwise, intake of about 150, 120 to 150 ml per hour, that is considered a normal intake for maintaining a good urine function. Right. In those people who have nighttime frequency, both the males and the females, I would suggest that they reduce their fluid intake 2 hours before sleep. Right. Somebody is sleeping at 12, then at 10, after 10, they must stop drinking liquids. Right. Just keep a glass of water with you. Right. Take a sip in case you feel thirsty. You don't need to take a whole glass of water every time you feel thirsty. Right. So the reduction in the fluid volume 2 hours before sleep, that causes marked difference in the nighttime frequency. And again, please avoid any intake of coffee, tea, alcohol, milk before sleeping. Often people are in a habit when they have a glass of tea or a glass of coffee or a glass of milk just before sleeping. So all these are known to increase your urine volume at night, and obviously will increase your nighttime frequency. So please avoid using beverages. If in case you want to take something before sleeping or you are in a habit of it, take it about 1.5 hours, 2 hours before sleeping, and not just before sleeping, right? And again, nighttime drinking. So this kind of habit is very common, wherein somebody gets up at night to pass urine and again he has a glass of water. So ultimately you are just exercising your bladder to produce more and more urine, and actually you're not helping yourself. So I always advise that you keep a glass of water by your bedside, and whenever you go to pass urine, in case you are in a habit of taking water after coming from the washroom, you can just have a sip. Don't have a whole glass of water. And tea and coffee, I already mentioned. Tea and coffee are the known bladder irritants. So this, whether during the daytime frequency or the nighttime frequency, these definitely contribute to that. So people who have urine symptoms and are in a habit of taking too much tea and coffee, one must reduce their intake to about 1 to 2 cups every day, not more than that. So second important thing is the lifestyle changes. Again, something which is very well possible at home. And as I mentioned earlier also, particularly in females with incontinence or the urine leak, weight reduction is something that is very, very helpful, not only in short term, but in long term. So the ladies with urine incontinence, reduction in weight that has shown to improve their symptoms to as much as 50% of this incontinence with the reduction in weight. Again, alcohol intake, as I already mentioned, smoking, I have already mentioned, and this last important thing is the exercises, right? So exercises, they have a very, very positive impact on our body. They release positive hormones in our body, which take care of each and organ of our body, each and every organ of our body, and obviously the urine tract. If somebody has urine symptoms, then pelvic muscle strengthening exercises, these are very helpful in reducing those symptoms and helping you maintain or taking a control of your urinary tract. So these pelvic muscle exercises are very simple exercises that one can do at home. They are ample of videos or the information that is available over the internet, right, for pelvic muscle strengthening. Even if somebody is doing that for about 5 to 10 minutes in a day, so that is very helpful in long term and very important, very helpful in reducing the urinary symptoms. So next slide, please, ma'am. Yeah, again, one must continue to take treatment or take medicines for the diseases they already have. So as I mentioned in my earlier slide, there are a lot of diseases which directly or indirectly affect your urine tract, particularly diabetes, hypertension, all those chronic disorders, chronic constipation, dementia. So all these things. So if somebody is taking medicines for these problems, so during this lockdown times, during this COVID times, one must not stop taking the medicines, right? If you have been prescribed medicines for a particular period of time, so as that time is coming to the end, you must check with your physicians, where do I need to continue the medicines, do I need to change their doses, or do I need to change the medicines or the salt. So it is not that since you're sitting at home, so the treatment has ended. No. The treatment is a continuous process, and according to your prescription, you must check with your doctor whether you need to continue those medicines or not. So if these diseases remain in control, your urine symptoms will also remain in control, right? Second thing, particularly the patients who are taking medicines for the urine problems, right? I mentioned one is BPH and OAB because these are the commonest problem in females. They must continue their medicines, and obviously in during the COVID times also online consultation is very well available. Rather, this platform has been very well expanded by whole of the medical fraternity, and I think every doctor is now available over the internet or over the online consultations. So don't feel
Yes.
hesitant to take an online consult. Take an online consult, right? Check with them whether I need to continue medicines, whether I need to change my medicines, right? Don't just stop the medicine and sit at your home. That will definitely aggravate your problems, and sometimes one might land in a complication and again a visit to the hospital or the clinic, which obviously one doesn't want. So at least do your part, continue medicines whatever you are taking, and check with your physician about the medicines. So, and lastly, don't be hesitant to take simple tests, right? Most of the labs, they are offering services to have simple test, urine test or the blood test done at home. Don't get hesitant about them. I mean, the risk of corona or the COVID is not such so high for a home collection, right? If one is taking proper precautions, wearing a proper mask, but don't fear to get these investigations if they have been ordered, or their our physician or doctor finds that they are very necessary for your health problem, get them done, right? And lastly, as I mentioned, the warning signs of urine symptoms, right? I'll just mention them again, right? So blood in the urine, or markedly increased urine frequency, yeah. So blood in urine, markedly increased urine frequency, severe burning in urine, pain in the abdomen, poor oral intake, symptoms of dehydration. So all these things are the warning signs that one needs to be cautious of and seek immediate medical intervention when they are there, right? Even in the COVID time, we don't want something happening which might invite further troubles or a long visit or a stay in the hospital. So whenever these warning sign develops, right, please take proper care and please take proper attention. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you. So we have a lot of questions. So I'm just going to show it and it will come on your screen also. So
Right.
this is a question from Saryu Sharma. I recently suffered from renal colic and also have IgA nephropathy. Can both precipitate vice versa?
So, good morning, sir. Renal colic may have very many different causes, right? Renal colic is the pain in the kidney, so that might arise with just an infection or a stone or some kind of foreign body sticking in the urine tract. So there are multiple causes of renal colic, right? But so IgA nephropathy is a diagnosis; it's a disease. Renal colic is a symptom. So both, I mean, there is no relation between them as far as the precipitation is concerned. If there is a swelling in the kidney or infection in the kidney, then one might have a renal colic, right? So both of them are different things. Don't confuse with them, right? Even people with IgA nephropathy, this is a silent disease, I know, but they may have renal colic due to different diseases. So in case you already have a baseline renal disease and have renal colic, you must seek immediate medical attention and find out what is the cause and take proper treatment.
Okay, okay. So then there is this our cranberry capsule. I think there are some questions on what kind of food and dietary supplements to take for, to avoid UTI. So I think this is a related
Right.
question.
Right. So
Health.
that's a very good question. So I'll just address this question in particular and then a general dietary thing for the urinary tract. So cranberry capsules, they are found to be useful in reducing the episodes of UTI in the female premenopausal group. So particularly the female premenopausal group, in that particular age group, this cranberry capsules, they are known to reduce UTI. Right. So coming to the diet for the urinary tract, so most important thing is vitamin C or the citrus fruit or the citric acid. So second thing is the zinc. Third thing is the selenium, right? And obviously the antioxidants and a balanced diet. These are the things which are helpful or which are important to maintain a good urinary tract health.
Okay, okay. So I have another question. This came through email from Mr. Hari Tash. I have a bit enlarged prostate. I find frequent urinary problems, not able to control. Can it be cured by medicine? Any yoga exercises you would advise?
Yes, sir. So as I've already mentioned, these kind of symptoms might be related to prostate. So first thing is that one must get a proper medical attention so as to find out whether these symptoms are because of the prostate or any other disease. And then obviously if they are because of the prostate and they are mild, then a medical therapy to treat this is very, very effective. And one must not shy away from that. Right. And the second part of the question, can you just repeat the second part of the question, ma'am?
Yeah, so the second part of the question is, can it be, cured with medicines and any yoga exercise?
Yeah, yoga exercises. So as I mentioned, the pelvic muscle strengthening exercises, right, which are there in yoga as well, those can be done to reduce your urine problems and regain control of the urine tract.
Okay. So there's a question from Nikhil saying, I have a catheter in my bladder. How can I manage it at home? So
Yes, Nikhil, this catheter, I don't know for what reason it has been placed, right? So you can just categorize them as permanent catheters and a temporary catheter. A temporary catheter is usually there for a week or 10 days or something, right? And in that case, you must check with your doctor how to maintain that or what is the plan for removing of the catheter. In those people who have catheters for a very long time, so the most important thing is something known as catheter care. So one, with the catheter being there, there is no restriction to bathing or splashing, right? This catheter is something which is self-retaining and which will not come out unless some medical person removes it. Right? There's a balloon which is inflated inside the bladder, and it doesn't come out on its own. So don't get fear where if I rub my parts, if I take bath, if I move, then this catheter will come out. No, it is not going to come out. So you can have shower, you can have bath. For the male, it is very important that you pull back your foreskin and clean the under part, because therein there is a lot of bacteria and fungus which can cause catheter-related infections. There is a lot of dirt which will accumulate over the catheter, so that needs to be cleaned again with soap and water. Very important thing is no to any chemicals over the catheter. No spirit, no Dettol, no betadine over the catheter. All these things, they degrade the catheter and increase the risk of infection and degrade the life of the catheter. So no chemicals. Wash with plain soap and water. Right. Change the catheter in adequate time. Right. Usually 3 to 4 weeks is the time when the catheter needs to be changed. If somebody has catheter blockade earlier, then that needs to be changed earlier as well. So that is the second thing. And obviously maintain a good fluid intake so that the urine flow is normal to the catheter, right? In case you find that there is a lot of blood coming in the tube or you have a lot of pain, then you must consult your physician immediately.
Yeah. So there's a question from Mr. Jagdish Agarwal. He has said that he's facing urinary problems since last few years and urine flow is slow and takes several minutes to empty the bladder. At present, taking Geripod 8 capsule once a day, but don't find any improvement. Kindly help. So I
Right.
don't know.
So Jagdishji, this Geripod is used for treating enlarged prostate. I hope you have already consulted a physician or urologist for the treatment of your symptoms. And if these medicines are not helping you, then perhaps it is a time to get your treatment reviewed with your physician. Right? You might need further investigations or at least the evaluation of the symptoms clinically, and he might be able to add some medicines to your existing problem so that you can be relieved.
Yeah. So there's another question on prostate. I have a prostate of 17 in size and taking capsule in morning and night, taking Conflow. Kindly advise. My
So,
PSA.
Mr. Dleep, yeah, that's okay. Prostate size is monitoring a prostate size or following a prostate size is not something very significant that we do in treatment of BPH on enlarged prostate, right? It is a symptom-based treatment. So, depending on your symptoms, the medicines are advised, and if you already have problems diagnosed and treated by a physician or urologist, then obviously you should continue these medicines as have been prescribed by your physician, right? Your PSA is normal, don't worry.
Okay, that's good. तो सर एक दो सवाल मैं हिंदी में भी पूछ लेती हूँ हमारे ऑडियंस के लिए, तो ये जो साइंस ऑफ सीरियस प्रॉब्लम्स और कॉम्प्लिकेशंस जो डेवलप होने का मतलब वार्निंग साइंस, कब हमको हॉस्पिटल जाना चाहिए या कब हमें डॉक्टर से कंसल्ट करना चाहिए, उसका आपने बताया तो है, लेकिन एक बार आप फिर से थोड़ा मतलब एक बार
मैं फिर से बता देता हूँ। जिन लोगों को पहले से कोई यूरिन प्रॉब्लम्स है और उनको कोई चेंजेस सडनली नोट होते हैं, या फिर जिनको पहले से कोई यूरिन प्रॉब्लम्स नहीं है, सडनली ये जो मैंने साइंस टेस्ट किए हैं ये आते हैं, या मैं एक बार रिपीट कर देता हूँ। पेशाब में बहुत ज्यादा जलन होना, पेशाब बूंद बूंद आना, पेशाब की धार बिल्कुल खत्म हो जाना, नीचे पेट के हिस्से में या पेट के साइड में बहुत तेजी का दर्द होना, पेशाब में खून आना, खून के थक्के आना या पूरा पेशाब लाल आना, इन सब प्रॉब्लम्स के साथ प्रॉपर तरीके से खाना पीना खा पाना और ऐसा लगना कि शरीर में पानी की कमी हो गई है, इसके साथ साथ बुखार भी आने लगे तेजी का। तो ये सारे सिम्टम्स जो हैं ये सही नहीं है, और ऐसे सिम्टम्स अगर आपको हो जाते हैं तो आपको इमीडिएट डॉक्टर की सलाह लेनी चाहिए। अगर आप घर से जाने में असहमत नहीं जा सकते हैं या आप जाना नहीं चाहते हैं, तो एटलीस्ट ऑनलाइन कंसल्ट करके ये समझ लीजिए कि आपके लिए हॉस्पिटल आना कितना जरूरी है। और अगर आपको डॉक्टर को लगता है कि आपको हॉस्पिटल आना चाहिए तो प्लीज उसमें रुकिए मत, आप चले जाइए हॉस्पिटल, क्योंकि इसके नतीजे बहुत खराब हो सकते हैं।
Thank you, doctor. So, if there are a couple of questions around prostrate. So, prostrate के लिए what are the treatments available? And what are the common problems and treatments available?
So prostate के लिए we have two kind of treatments. One is what we call as medical therapy, and second is what we call as surgical therapy, right? So in the current era, there are multiple medicines which are there for the treatment of prostate, and these medicines have a very, very good efficacy. So about 20 years, 25 years back, if I go, the best available treatment for the prostate problem was surgery, but now it is not so. The medical therapy is equally effective for those who are the suitable candidates. But yes, one must check with their physician or the urologist whether they are suitable candidates or not. And if somebody is developing complications, then that is a sign when the surgical treatment comes in or when the medical therapy has failed. And in that case, surgical therapy again is very, very effective. जैसे कुछ धारणा होती है कि सर्जरी कराएंगे तो प्रॉब्लम बहुत बढ़ जाएंगी या सर्जरी के बाद नहीं होता, तो बहुत जरूरी है आप सर्जरी से पहले ये समझें कि सर्जरी आपको किस लिए ऑफर करी जा रही है और सर्जरी के बाद आपको किस सिम्टम्स में इंप्रूवमेंट होने की उम्मीद है और किस में नहीं है। उसके बाद ही आप अपना जजमेंट लें कि मुझे सर्जरी करानी चाहिए या नहीं करानी चाहिए। सर्जरी जो होती है, सर्जरी इसमें प्रोस्टेट के लिए अब हम 99% सर्जरी ऐसी करते हैं जिसमें कि कोई कट या कहीं कोई भी चीरा या कुछ भी नहीं लगता है। इट्स एंडोस्कोपिक और द लेजर सर्जरी, जहां पे कुछ इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स आपके यूरिन ट्रैक के थ्रू डाल के वहीं से यूरिन ट्रैक को क्लियर कर दिया जाता है। तो इसलिए सर्जरी भी कोई इसके लिए ऐसी कोई बहुत बड़ी चीज नहीं है कि जिसके बाद आपको बिस्तर पे आराम करना पड़ेगा या दो लोगों की हेल्प चाहिए होगी आपको खड़े होने के लिए या खाने के लिए। यूजुअली सर्जरी के बाद नेक्स्ट डे से आप चलना फिरना खाना पीना अपने आप से सब अपना कर सकते हैं। सो इसलिए सर्जरी अगर जरूरत होती तो भी घबराना नहीं है कि सर्जरी की रिक्वायरमेंट हमें क्यों है या सर्जरी कराए नहीं कराए। यू कैन गो अहेड विद द सर्जरी इजीली।
सर, इसकी कोई हमारे साथ बहुत सारे सुपर सीनियर्स भी एसोसिएटेड हैं, वो 85 प्लस और ऐसे, तो कोई मतलब इस एज के बाद ऐसा कुछ है कि नहीं होनी चाहिए सर्जरी, आप रेकमेंड नहीं करेंगे?
A very interesting question. So prostate की जो प्रॉब्लम होती है, this increases with age. So कॉमन थिंग इज कि 50 साल या 50 से 60 साल के लोगों में 30% लोगों में प्रोस्टेट के सिम्टम्स होते हैं विच आर बॉदरसम। बट जैसे जैसे एज बढ़ती है तो 70 इयर्स के जो लोग होते हैं 70% में यूरिन प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं, राइट। जैसे जैसे हम आगे बढ़ते जाएंगे तो वैसे वैसे प्रॉब्लम्स का इंसिडेंस बढ़ता जाता है। ये प्रोस्टेट की प्रॉब्लम जो है ये तो प्रॉब्लम ही एल्डरली एज ग्रुप की है, यंग लोगों में नहीं होती है प्रॉब्लम, या यंग लोगों में प्रोस्टेट की डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं। सो इसीलिए इसकी सर्जरी या ट्रीटमेंट जो होता है वो भी एल्डरली में होता है। अक्सर लोग कहते हैं अरे 85 साल के हो गए आप क्या ऑपरेशन कराएंगे, बट एक आप दूसरा एस्पेक्ट देखिए कि 85 साल के हो गए और आप एक हेल्दी लाइफस्टाइल ले रहे हैं, जी रहे हैं, उसके साथ भी वांट कि आपकी क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ जो है वो मेंटेन रहे। अब कोई 85 साल का है, उसको 10 बार यूरिन जाना पड़ रहा है, पैरों में घुटनों में आर्थराइटिस है, सो उसके लिए इट इज अ वेरी बिग प्रॉब्लम टू मैनेज। सो एटलीस्ट अगर हम उसकी यूरिन प्रॉब्लम सर्जिकली या मेडिकली मैनेज करके उसको यूरिन सिम्टम्स से रिलीव करा सकें, सो इट विल बी ग्रेट चेंज इन हिज लाइफ। ही वुड फाइंड इट वेरी वेरी इजी टू मेंटेन हिज लाइफ। सो इसमें ना तो एज का इसमें सर्जरी से या मेडिकल थेरेपी से बिल्कुल कोई रिलेशन नहीं होता। अगर कोई किसी को सर्जरी ऑफर करी जाती है, उससे पहले हर तरह का इवैल्यूएशन करा जाता है कि उनका शरीर सर्जरी को झेल पाएगा या नहीं झेल पाएगा। सर्जरी से कोई ऐसा कॉम्प्लिकेशन होने की उम्मीद तो नहीं है जिससे उनकी क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ खराब हो जाए। सो सर्जरी जब भी ऑफर करी जाती है, जब हम देखते हैं कि हाँ आपकी क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ इंप्रूव हो जाएगी सर्जरी के बाद, देन ओनली वी ऑफर यू द सर्जरी। And as far as the age is concerned, I have operated on people as old as 100, 104. So please don't bother उस चीज को बिल्कुल मत सोचिए कि एज जो है वो सर्जरी से रिलेटेड है या नहीं है। Don't think about it.
Yeah. Okay. So, sir, one last question. I think we are almost at the end of this thing, but there's a question: how much water should one have to keep kidneys healthy? I think आपने आंसर भी किया था। मेरा एक रिलेटेड कि कुछ जैसे एल्डरली में, स्पेशली लाइक माय फादर, अब ज्यादा पानी पीते हैं तो उनका सोडियम भी लो हो जाता है, तो फिर ये बैलेंस कैसे करना चाहिए, यू नो?
बिल्कुल 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 वाजिब सवाल है। दिस अ वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन। सो पानी का जैसे मैंने बताया, हर घंटे में 1 गिलास पानी। सो 1 गिलास अगर डिफरेंट घरों में अगर हम मेजर करें तो 120 से 150 ml का नॉर्मल गिलास होता है। सो अगर हम हर घंटे में, जब तक हम जगा हुए हैं, ये नहीं कि हम रात को भी या जब हम सो रहे हैं तब भी धक्का मार के हम पानी पी रहे हैं, तो दैट इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड। अगर आप हर घंटे में 1 पानी पियेंगे, सो इफ यू टेक अबाउट 8 hours or 10 hours of awakeness, then 8 से 10 गिलास पानी, that is about 1.5 to 2 liters of water in a day, that is sufficient to maintain a urine tract. और अगर आप एक्सरसाइज कर रहे हैं जिसमें बहुत ज्यादा पसीना बह रहा है या कुछ है, तो अपना इंटेक आप बढ़ा सकते हैं। तो दैट इज इनफ टू कीप किडनीज हेल्दी। अब जो एक इंपॉर्टेंट इसमें एस्पेक्ट आ जाता है कि कई लोग जो होते हैं, दे आर प्रोन टू हैव लो सोडियम, एंड ऑब्वियसली जो that causes dilution of the blood or the sodium in the blood. So ऐसे लोगों को ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि जो वो पानी ले रहे हैं, लिक्विड ले रहे हैं, उसके साथ वो सिंपल पानी ना लें, बल्कि उसको रिप्लेस कर सकते हैं इलेक्ट्रोलाइट रिच फ्लूइड से, जैसे कि हमारे नारियल पानी हो गया, या नींबू पानी हो गया, या शिकंजी हो गया, लस्सी हो गया। सो दीज आर द थिंग्स व्हिच आर इजीली अवेलेबल एट होम, एंड पेट को तब भी नहीं करते। आप इनको सिंपल पानी की जगह इन लिक्विड से रिप्लेस कर सकते हैं।
Okay, I think I don't see any other questions. So I think, sir, we're almost at the end of our discussion. Any last parting advice you would give to people?
So just the last advice is कि आपके जो यूरिन प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, उनको आप जो भी दवाई ले रहे हैं या जो हैं, वो आप प्लीज लेते रहिए, और अपने डॉक्टर से चेक कर लीजिए कि अब ये 2-3 महीने हॉस्पिटल आना नहीं चाहता, या आई एम नॉट इंटरेस्टेड, या मेरे लिए पॉसिबल नहीं है, तो मैं इसमें क्या चेंजेस कर सकता हूं। दैट इज नंबर 1। सेकंड थिंग, अपने घर पे आप डाइट, एक्सरसाइज, लाइफस्टाइल चेंजेस से जो काम कर सकते हैं वो करते रहिए। थर्ड थिंग इज कि जो आपके पहले से जो बाकी डिजीजेस के लिए जो ट्रीटमेंट लेते रहे हैं, प्लीज वो लेते रहिए। एंड लास्ट थिंग इज, प्लीज डोंट गेट शाय अवे, डोंट बी अफ्रेड टू टेक अ ट्रीटमेंट इन केस यू हैव सीवियर यूरिन प्रॉब्लम्स या वार्निंग साइन सिम्टम डेवलप हो रहे हैं, तो प्लीज घर पे मत बैठिए और प्रॉब्लम्स को मत बढ़ाइए। राइट, टेक अ इमीडिएट एडवाइस। Hospitals are not that bad, they are quite safe. हर एक हॉस्पिटल में कोविड, नॉन कोविड के पेशेंट अलग रखे जाते हैं, and all the precautions are taken so that there is no risk of transmission to the healthy people. Right? हम भी डॉक्टर से, हम भी हॉस्पिटल रोज आ ही रहे हैं, so so it is same for everybody, right? So please don't get shy away.
Yes, and I think first consultation online हो जाए, उसके बाद जरूरत पड़े
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
फिर आप बुलाएंगे, नहीं तो we can do it.
Exactly, 50% लोगों में ऑनलाइन करके ही काम हो जाता है, 50% लोगों में विजिट की जरूरत पड़ेगी।
थैंक यू सो मच सर, थैंक यू, इट वाज वेरी इंफॉर्मेटिव। काफी चीजें थी जो मैंने खुद दोबारा समझी हैं, तो इट वाज ग्रेट हैविंग यू दिस मॉर्निंग, एंड आई होप हमारे व्यूअर्स भी इसको, वीडियो को दोबारा भी देख सकते हैं, हमारे फेसबुक लाइव उसमें होगा, और कोई और क्वेश्चंस होंगे तो आप लिख सकते हैं हमें, and we will definitely get Dr. Agarwal to answer them back for you. So thanks sir, thank you so much for coming.
Welcome Archana ji, welcome everybody, and thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for giving me this platform. I hope कि मैं कुछ help कर पाया. Thank you so much.
Okay sir, thank you.
Thank you.